Yo, and welcome back guys, welcome back to myself. I don't like grumpy. Today we're going to have another look at some more history lessons. I don't really want to call them lessons, they're not really lessons. More like some interesting history facts. There you go, that's a little bit better for us all, isn't it? So I've got 15 bizarre obsessions of royals throughout history today. So, as we know, famous people are weird. Royal people are even weirder. So let's jump into this, find out what else they're freakily into. It's not just the royal family, as in the British royal family. It'll be royals from all over the world. So you have sultans and former Roman generals and leaders. So let's jump into this without further ado. Give it a go, and let's do this. Number 1. The King of Prussia was obsessed with giants. Frederick Wilhelm I ruled Prussia from the year 1713 until his passing in 1740. During this time, Wilhelm grew the Prussian army from 38,000 to over 80,000. In addition to growing the overall ranks, Frederick also had a preoccupation with developing his own personal regiment of usually tall soldiers. These soldiers were known formally as the Grand Grenades of Postradom. However, they were widely known and referred to as the Postradom Giants. There was only one thing needed to join the order of the ranks of the Giants, and that was at least to be 6 foot tall. Once you were in, you were treated very well, with the best food, pay and uniforms. Some soldiers volunteered to be part of the regiment, but Wilhelm had other means of recruiting. He would often pay men for their tallest sons and farmhands. Leaders from other countries would even send him their tallest men in order to foster civil relations. Wilhelm attempted to make these soldiers even taller by stretching them on the rack, which often led to soldiers being crippled or killed. Number 2. Queen Johanna I of Kassel really liked spending time with her deceased husband. Queen Johanna I of Kassel, often referred to as Joan or Juna the Mad, was the daughter of the Queen Isabella I of Castile and King Ferdinand II of Aragon. Johanna married Philip the Handsome of Austria when she was a teen, and soon after began having children with him. Philip became increasingly unfaithful to his wife, which sent Julia into fits of rage and despair, and revealed her delicate mental health. When Philip passed in 1506, at the age of 28, Johanna's deteriorating psychological state worsened. She is reported to have caressed and kissed Philip's corpse, and did not part with him until it was embalmed and interred in the monastery near Burgos. Soon after, she had the coffin opened to look at it, kissing the corpse's feet. The body and the coffin followed her to Torquemada, protected by an armed guard under orders not to let any woman near it. Number 3. Caligula had a weird relationship with his pet horse. Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus was also better known as Caligula. Caligula was a Julio-Claudian dynasty member and Roman emperor from 37 to 41 CE. Caligula made his share of controversial decisions, which included having incestuous relationships with his sisters. But his love for his sisters paled in comparison to the love he has for his horse Quinnchouheung. According to certain historical accounts, Caligula gave the horse a marble store and a house, and would even invite Licorice in to eat dinner, where he was fed oats with mixed golden flakes. Number 4. Sultan Ibrahim I wanted a wild, heftier woman. Ibrahim I was born in Istanbul, the capital of the Ottoman Empire. Afraid of having his throne usurped, Abraham's older brother slew all his younger brothers except for Ibrahim, because he found him no threat due to his lack of mental stability. Ibrahim I was obsessed with lust, had a large harem, and ordered his men to search for a unique kind of woman, one who was made in the manner of a wild heifer. They found such a woman and gave her a next name, which translates to literally a piece of sugar. Number 5. Ivan the Terrible got a kick out of torturing animals. Ivan the Terrible was crowned the first Khazar of all Russia in 1547. He was an extremely paranoid ruler and had one obsession with maiming and slaying people. With a name like Ivan the Terrible, are you really surprised? Although Ivan would torture and slay many people throughout his adult life, his fascination with violence began at an early age. As a young boy, Ivan would spend his free time torturing small animals. He would capture birds, mutilate their bodies for fun, including plucking out their feathers, stabbing them in the eyes and cutting open their bodies. He would also find stray cats and dogs, tossing them off high places. Number 6. Tsar Peter III of Russia spent his free time playing with dolls. Tsar Peter III was actually born in Germany, but after his parents passed, he was taken under care to his aunt Elizabeth, the Empress of Russia. Peter had a short-lived rule in the middle of the 18th century before his wife Catherine the Great forced him out of power and he was slain. But before this, Tsar Peter didn't seem to care about being ruler because he just wanted to play with his toys. Yes, his toys. According to reports that include Catherine's memoirs, he spent a lot of his time setting up and playing with his toy soldiers rather than face intimacy with his wife. In one account, Tsar Peter III charged a rodent with treason and sentenced to death by hanging, an act Peter performed with a little rope. Number 6. Louis XII had lots of friends and enemies. Louis XII has the longest reign of any European monarch, ruling France for 72 years. Louis was known as the Sun King, but he had an affinity with sticking things where the sun doesn't shine. Like many other noblemen in his day, Louis XII frequently used enemas, believing they would contribute to good health. However, Louis may have taken the colon cleansing a little bit further than his peers. Louis is reported to have received thousands of enemas throughout the course of his life. According to one historical blog, the water in the enemas was often infused with colour and scented with roses. Number 7. Christian VII of Denmark couldn't keep his hands off himself. Christian VII became King of Denmark at the age of 17 despite his childlike behaviour and fits of madness. Christian exhibited many antisocial behaviours, but his most notorious was his obsession with pleasuring himself. According to accounts by the royal physician, who had a long affair with the king's wife, Princess Caroline, the king was a chronic masturbator. He masturbated so much that it interfered with his duties as a leader. Later, experts believe Christian VII's problems were actually due to schizophrenia. Number 8. Emilia of Bavaria had a glass delusion. Alexander Emilia was the Princess of Bavaria in the mid-19th century. Princess Emilia was an eccentric woman with a love for literature, producing many literature works. In addition with her obsession with writing, though she had more peculiar obsessions, the princess most likely suffered from an obsessive-compulsive disorder. She had a fixation on cleanliness and went beyond the ordinary. She refused to wear any clothes besides white. It also warrants a mention that she was convinced she had swallowed a glass piano. There was something called a glass delusion that other people also suffered from. She would walk around with great caution, especially when passing through doorways, as not to break the piano. Number 9. Napoleon loved him some licorice. Most people know about Napoleon Bonaparte. The French emperor and military leader had conquered the majority of Europe in the 1800s. There were many well-known facts and myths about Napoleon, but the man with the complex also had some lesser-known quirks, one of which being his addiction to licorice. Napoleon carried the stuff with him everywhere he went and reportedly ate it daily. He used it for pleasure as well as treatment for a wide of ailments, consuming it in lozenges. Napoleon ate so much licorice that his teeth became stained black. Number 11. Quinnchouheung was determined to find the key to immortality. Quinnchouheung founded the Qin dynasty and was considered the first emperor of China. He had everything a mortal could ever want and wasn't prepared to give up any of it. Quinnchouheung spent most of his time and effort and money trying to find the key to everlasting life. Quinnchouheung believed in an ancient legend that there were 3 spirit mountains in the middle of the sea that were inhabited by immortals. He sent search parties there to find magic immortality granting herbs. Number 12. Phaidor I of Russia liked to ring the church bells. Phaidor I was the last Tsar of the Rydak dynasty and the mentally disabled son of Ivan the Terrible. Ivan and his father had 2 different ideas of a good time. While Ivan the Terrible was never one to pass up a good old-fashioned killing spree, his son preferred a more tranquil means of fun. Phaidor was very religious and often seen praying. He would visit various churches and monasteries throughout the region. His favourite hobby was ringing the church bells to invite churchgoers. Number 13. Nero took great pleasure in slaying Christians. Nero was a tyrannical, self-absorbed Roman Empire who took the throne at the age of 16. Nero had a fondness for the arts, sexual depravity and murder. Nero didn't discriminate when it came to killing. He was quick to slay anyone, including allegedly his mother, his stepbrother and one of his wives. However, he took a very strong interest in taking out Christians. In the year 64, Nero was blamed for starting the Great Fire that levelled most of Rome. Historians now believe that was based more in rumour than in fact. Regardless of the rumour, Nero quickly shifted the blame to Christians and ordered them to be persecuted. He took great joy in slaying Christians and was sadistically creative in his means of execution. Number 14. Vlad III loved impaling people. Vlad III, the ruler of Wallachia in the 15th century, was known as Vlad the Impaler. Can you guess why? Vlad loved to impale his enemies and leave their bodies staked in the ground. But slaying didn't stop there. He also disemboweled, skinned and removed their heads. After another successful victory over the Ottomans, Vlad had approximately 20,000 people impaled and left them outside the city of Tragovist for the advancing Ottoman army to see. Number 15. King Ludwig II of Bavaria really liked erecting castles. Ludwig became king before he was 20, after his father's passing. He loved arts, especially opera and theatre. His love of castles and desire to build them was most likely inspired by the fact he grew up in a breathtaking Hohenschwestern castle. Ludwig was inspired by the Palace of Velestes and the Grand Tinian Palace in France, and romance music of Wagner. So that was 15 bizarre obsessions with royals in history. I hope some of them were odd for you. I hope you didn't know all of them. I hope some of them were different. Sorry about some of the pronunciations on some of the words. I need to do a bit more proofreading, I think, before I go into these. But thank you very much for giving this a view. Again, that was a look at some weird history. Thank you very much for Ranker. Their weird history section is absolutely fantastic. So link to them will be in the description below. It's where I'm getting most of my facts from. So much love to you all. Comment, like, subscribe. You know the deal. Much love. Peace.
I was playing South Park, you know, funny game, laughing my ass off. Shout out to my second channel, and then all of a sudden, this happened. I'm bad with names. First episode is definitely the one with Piss Out Man. What the fuck? For fuck's sake. New one?
Hello there.